Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Steve and Larson's Pro Wrestling Podcast. Ruining pro wrestling podcasting since 2014. Man, the other day, Larson, somebody in the comments said, I miss Steve with high energy saying, going in raw. I posted a poll yesterday.
Saw that.
I asked people, what is it? What is it? Is it Steve and Larson's Pro Wrestling Podcast? Is it going in raw?
And?
At first it was lopsided. Everybody thinks it's going in raw. But then the tide started to turn a little bit. And once it was up to like 65%, it was like 65-35. So it wasn't so clear cut, Larson. What I really want, I want it to be split in the middle so we don't know what to do. So it's like, Ideally. Hey, once Cena loses the title or goes face, naturally we go back to going in raw, but maybe not.
Do we?
Maybe not. I don't know. So I don't know. I'm going to take a look at the poll here in a second. But this is an episode of kind of stuff where we, even though we don't really call it that anymore, where we do top 10 stuff because that's what we used to do back in the day.
Yeah, that was what we kind of were known for back in the day. We still do that now in wrestling.
Wow, 66-34 in favor of going in raw.
Seems to be a clear majority.
Maybe by the time Cena loses the title, do another one of these polls, it'll be up to 50-50.
Maybe. I wouldn't count on it.
I want to be in a pickle. I
I don't know why you want to be in a pickle. We want a clear direction. We have that
because that's our journey. That's our story. It's a very going in raw thing to like not know like the crowd is split.
It's the let's go going in raw. Going in raw sucks type.
Yes, you got it exactly right. We're on the same page now.
Anyways, we're not here to talk about the name of the show. We're here to talk about Money in the Bank, specifically Money in the Bank cash-ins.
Yeah,
we got Money in the Bank coming up in about 3 weeks' time.
If they're watching this in advance of that, yeah. If you're watching it a year later, guess what? I mean, it's still coming up because it's a year later, but
yeah. But the one that we're talking about coming up in 3 weeks has already happened. Yeah. So we thought it'd be a good time to revisit something we haven't done, I think, since 2016.
Yeah.
Best Money in the Bank cash-in. So it's been about 9 years since we did this topic. So plenty of cash-ins have happened since then.
I think we actually did. I think we did 2017. In 2016, we did it as like a 5-minute. Back when we were doing those little short ones.
Yeah.
The podcast one, I think, was 2017. We did a worst
last year, I think.
Around a year ago, and then we did earlier this year. We did, or last year, maybe it was.
We did the shortest title reigns episode, which had a lot of cash-ins involved in that.
We also did sometime recently, people who should have won Money in the Bank had like Jericho on the cover because he evidently invented the thing. But yeah,
he's one of the co-creators of it. Yeah,
right. Yeah, in this
Brian
case,
Gewirtz.
We're gonna look at Brian Gewirtz. No, we're not gonna look at Brian Gewirtz. We're gonna look at because he never won Money in the Bank.
No,
the best.
Never in the match, much less won it.
And some of these, Larson, might be a bit on the controversial side. I don't know.
I don't know either. What's going on? Let's see what's necessarily controversial about any of these. Maybe number 10.
I feel like number 10. So let's go ahead and dive into it, man.
Sure.
Number 10.
10.
It's a shameful thing, lobster head.
Hold on. That wasn't his theme when he cashed in, I don't think, on Roman.
In 2015? It wasn't his theme in 2015?
I thought they changed it when he came back with the Mohawk.
Oh, man. Hey, you know what I realized with this one? Because I went back, doing some research.
Yeah, I watched this one again, too.
Same. I kind of think you look cool with that Mohawk, man.
I didn't. This the beard. I don't know.
It was a lot. The beard was a lot because he took the beard, and you're the beard aficionado. Is this something that you would be able to do with
the braids and the beard?
Yeah.
If I grew it out long enough.
You have to grow it out a bit longer, huh?
Yeah, actually quite a bit, I would think.
And he has a bunch of things right there.
I still feel it looks so uncomfortable because every time you move your head, you got these braids that are moving back and forth. It seemed like it'd be uncomfortable, especially in their wrestling.
Yeah, you would think so. But anyway, he seemed to like it. Crowd would chant, "You look stupid." Also, of all the cash-ins on our list, this easily takes the cake for the deadest crowd reaction. But hear us out. All right. So one thing I noticed about this that sort of put a lot of stuff together for me was Roman Reigns and Money in the Bank and sort of being screwed over by it was kind of a running theme for 3 years.
Yeah.
Because in 2015, moments after Roman Reigns won his first WWE title, world title. At Survivor Series 2015, is after Seth Rollins had to vacate the title because of injury, and they did a tournament. So, of course, everybody loves the Shield. Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns was in the final of this tournament. So Roman wins. Ticker tape. All the confetti comes falling down.
Confetti.
And he looks emotional. Oh, I got it. And then Triple H comes down and to celebrate with Roman, but instead Sheamus shows up and big bro kick.
Well,
cashes
first,
in.
Roman spears Triple H because Triple H tries to
right.
shake his hand. Roman spears him, and then he turns around, bro kick.
Sheamus
kick. Says, I'm cashing in, covers. Roman kicks out. We have a little bit of back and forth. Roman kind of looking like he's looking for a spear on Sheamus. Sheamus hits him with another bro kick. And covers him for the win. But there's a couple things that are really well done about this. The fact that Sheamus does his cash in while the confetti's still falling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is cool. Yeah.
And then the gif that you still see, the moment where Roman is kind of realizing what happens, where he's laying on the mat, rubbing his temples.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a moment he recreated later on. I don't remember if that's after Cody beat him, but there's a shot of, I can't remember where it was. A shot of him on the mat doing this.
I wonder if it was when Sammy turned on him. I don't know. But in any event, yeah, so he got screwed over after his first title win. Of course, he had been screwed over earlier by Money in the Bank. We'll talk about that later. And then there's another Money in the Bank incident as well that we'll talk about, but he was sort of out of it by that point. Anyways, talk about Sheamus. At this point, Vince McMahon was desperate to get Roman Reigns over. And I don't know if this was, and I'm kind of curious, like the backstage creative, this feels to me, it feels like maybe a Triple H suggestion. Because we had always heard that Triple H was huge into Sheamus. Triple H was number one Sheamus fan.
Steve, I remember having conversations back in 2015 about...
You remember having conversations
yes.
in 20...
I remember this because I was proven right. Because leading up to, I think after Sheamus won Money in the Bank, we're like, why put the Money in the Bank briefcase on Sheamus? And I think I said, because no one's going to cheer Sheamus instead of Roman Reigns. Because at that time, Sheamus, his character was ice cold.
I remember having the conversation when the cash-in happened, but did you actually do the Nostradamus thing when he got Money in the Bank? That sounds vaguely familiar, actually. All right, well, I give you your flowers for a 10-year-old conversation. Well done, Larson. I give you flowers for remembering that. But I do remember...
Perhaps a more impressive feat, honestly.
Yeah, honestly. I do remember at the time when the cash-in happened for certain, we were like, oh, that worked. And what did we say? There was a 48-hour window where Roman Reigns was actually perfectly booked to get him over, and it worked. You can go back, you can watch it. Him spearing Triple H in the first place was like, oh shit, people pop for that because they want him to stop. The only thing they ever wanted for Roman Reigns, stop being a doormat.
Yeah.
Stop being a pushover. Stop fading to the background.
Yep.
And he spears Triple H, gets cashed in on. People like, the fuck? They finally did this. We were done with this, and now they did this thing. And so the next night on Raw, Vince McMahon says, hey, you can have your rematch, but your career's on the line. During that match, Roman Reigns Superman punches Vince McMahon, I think, twice. And I think he also takes out Triple H again, wins the title. The place goes crazy. If you could watch that Raw right now, you would see that. There might be a clip of it on WWE's YouTube, but that Raw is completely disappeared from Netflix and Peacock. You can't watch that shit anymore. If only
you could see it, yes.
I think it's between like 2001 and 2020 or something like that. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Complete Raws are gone for like decades. Anyways, I'm sure it's probably on YouTube. You can see it, but the crowd pops big for Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
When Roman Reigns was not getting big pops.
Nope.
And then of course he has to put it on the line at the Royal Rumble. Triple H wins it. Triple H does his best to crotch top his way into being a fan favorite over Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
They have a shitty match at WrestleMania. Roman wins that, of course, but like, you know, at that point, it's like,
It all really started to fall apart quite a bit at the Rumble where I think Roman's in early, maybe number 1. They have the injury spot because it's the League of Nations, I believe.
Yes.
He gets taken out on the stretcher, but since he didn't go to the top rope, technically he's still in the Rumble, only to come back later. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like every tired babyface trope they're using to try to get Roman over.
Yeah.
In the process, Dean Ambrose is getting over huge amongst all this stuff.
Because he's not the guy that's being shoved down our throats. And on top of that, Dean, back then, he was just sort of a cool guy. Although it's funny, was it the cash in here? Maybe it was. I forget if it was the cash in or if it was the finish of this match. Ambrose's facial expressions, Mox's facials are just too much.
It's a lot.
They're just too much. In any event, so yeah, Sheamus, hey, look, for that 48-hour window, Larson, and you and I have been consistent about this for a decade now.
Yeah.
They figured out how to book Roman Reigns, and I got to wonder if maybe Triple H was like, hey, I got an idea, Dad, because he loved Sheamus.
Could be. Sheamus was his dude.
If you see the way he hugs him after Sheamus accomplishes his successful cash-in, and then they fumble the title. He's like, put the title or so people can see the title. All right, let's move on now to number 9. Daniel Bryan, who cashed in hilariously on the Big Show after a chairs match, pretty brutal one, with Mark Henry at TLC 2011. This is after an episode of SmackDown where he cashed in seemingly successfully on, I think, Mark Henry, who had the title at the time, but he wasn't medically cleared. And so Teddy Long comes out and says, sorry, playa, he's not medically cleared, so you didn't actually win the title.
Wow.
Crowd goes, aww. But then he cashed in here at TLC, and it's hilarious because Big Show just looks like... Big Show's facials were hilarious, like always.
Yeah.
And he looks so downtrodden.
He does. So Big Show beats Mark Henry. Then afterwards, Mark Henry hits him with the world's strongest slam on a bunch of chairs, and that's when Daniel Bryan comes down.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do a move. He just covers Show. And at 3.1, Show kind of gets his shoulder up, and Daniel Bryan grabs the title and sprints out of the ring.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's pretty great. And he keeps on, and he goes around the barricade and everything, and he just completely ignores Big Show. It's a really funny cash in, and people were really loving Daniel Bryan at the time, except for Michael Cole, who was also a heel, and that just didn't make any sense. But whatever. Let me ask you something real quick.
Sure.
Can you still just do a match where the dude's not standing? Wasn't there something where a dude has to be standing up in order for like the match to start? Wasn't that a thing at some point? Am I completely misremembering that? Now that you've been established as the superior memory.
So my understanding is that in a gauntlet match, both people have to be on their... So whoever's in the previous match has to get to their feet before the next match can begin.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking. I swear to God, I thought at some point they made it with Money in the Bank where the person had to be standing up for the match to start.
No, because Edge, when he cashed in, Cena was laid out.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm saying this would have had to have been recently, but I don't think that's the case because like a bunch of these, even kind of more recent ones, people were already laid out. So maybe I'm misremembering that completely, which is entirely likely. But yeah, when he went down, because I was sort of looking at these in order, and he goes down there and just covers them. He just covers them. The match had already started. Okay, cool, right on. Let's move on now.
More often than not, people get at least a move in to kind of solidify that they won the match, you know?
I thought there was something where we were sitting there one day and we're like, no, these guys got to be up. And maybe it's a different match, a different stipulation, a different gimmick. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, a couple of those like, wait a second, that dude's not even standing up. And I'm like, it's probably not Money in the Bank then. Anyways, so let's continue on to maybe somebody in the comments can like sharpen my mind here. I don't know. Let's continue on to number 8, Larson.
8.
Bailey at Money in the Bank 2019. So this was cool and all. A little bit on the like, I don't know, kind of shades of WrestleMania 9, Hogan coming in, trying to right the wrongs. Because so what the setup here is Becky won both belts at WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. The first time she had an opportunity to defend them was at Money in the Bank, because I think it was the pay-per-view they did right after WrestleMania.
Yeah, it was in May of 2019, yeah.
So, of course, she walks in Becky Two Belts, right? And you and I remember this at the time, we were like, oh, man, Becky Two Belts, how are they going to do this? Is she going to do a thing where she's working her ass off so hard that within 3 months or so, she's been defending this twice a month in these brutal matches, and then it happens? Are they going to vacate? Well, what are they going to do here? No, at the next pay-per-view, bizarrely, they book her in back-to-back matches to defend her title.
So she defends the Raw Women's title against Lacey Evans first, wins that match, and then right afterwards, Charlotte makes her entrance, says, I want this match to happen now.
Yeah.
6-ish minutes of match later, Charlotte wins, I think, with a boot.
Yeah.
Not a figure eight, not natural selection.
Yeah.
Just a kick to the head. There was some assistance from Lacey in the
Lacey Evans was still up there. I think she might have given her a women's right.
So after the match, both Lacey and Charlotte are attacking Becky. Bayley runs out with the intention, seemingly, of making the save, but she just won the Money in the Bank briefcase to start the show, so she has that. So she runs to the ring, is helping fend off Lacey, hits her with Bayley to belly, has some back and forth with Charlotte, ends up sending her into the turnbuckle, and then she looks over, sees the briefcase. And the crowd's going crazy because the crowd wants Bayley to cash in.
When she looks down at Charlotte, because she puts Charlotte in the corner and Charlotte's out.
Yeah.
She's out. And she looks over at Charlotte and the crowd starts to perk up and they're like, oh, and then she does a very slow, dramatic turn towards the briefcase. And the crowd's like, yes, look, it's right there. Just do the thing.
Yeah.
So she does the thing.
And Charlotte's laid out, so she has to pull her away from the corner, hits the top rope elbow to get the win.
Another situation where somebody's just out.
Laid out. Yeah.
And I thought when I was watching this back, I was like, wait, didn't Charlotte play possum or something here? And then she gets her knees up. No. Just hits the elbow drop.
Yeah.
And then wins.
Yeah.
She, restored the honor of Becky Lynch by winning the SmackDown Women's Championship. I guess from, Charlotte, who took advantage of the situation. So I guess there is some amount of consolation, retribution, whatever you want to call it there for Bayley.
Maybe. I don't think they ever addressed it, at least short term. Maybe that's one of the reasons Becky laid out Bayley ahead of WrestleMania.
That could be. Maybe.
I know she said she's been fighting her for a better part of 5 years, but go back another year, 2019. It's a situation where maybe Bayley was out there trying to help Becky right or wrong, but in the process did something to benefit Bayley.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, could be. Anyways, hey, Larson, we're in the middle of our May predictions challenge. Of course, we already did Backlash, but Backlash, we didn't have any prop bets for Backlash. Not a ton of points.
Nope.
In the Backlash predictions challenge, not at least compared to the next two events in the May predictions challenge. We got Double or Nothing and Saturday night's main event coming up. Those will be involved as well. And it just came in today. The hat prize. Of course, you've got the shirt prize.
I do.
But we've got the hat prize here. Look at this. Look at this guy.
It
pops. Oh, boy, it pops. This thing really pops, Larson. Big Blue predictions champion. And then so you get this right here. You can walk around. This is like you could walk into a bar with this stuff and people are like, wow, that person looks like a Jim Dandy.
Yeah, it's going to be quite an ensemble.
Who said it? No, I don't think anybody says Jim Dandy anymore.
No.
Anyways, so yeah, you can get the Big Blue hat here. And then the shirt that we made back in 2011, it's probably literally hanging on by a thread at this point.
No, this is in good shape. I think
is it?
We only wore these to E3, maybe a handful of other times. Otherwise, it's been sitting in my dresser.
Oh wow! Look, it's got Larson's musk all over it.
Does it smell bad?
Well, yeah, you're not going to think
it.
Clean.
I can wash it before if they would like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was probably washed at some point if you put it in your dresser.
Yeah, after I wore it last, and then
that's crazy. I clear out my dresser of stuff all the time.
I do too, but I'm like that was the last shirt. One of those. Like, I'm not a terribly sentimental person, but I always liked the design of that shirt, and it's like, it's an early memory of us doing the machinima stuff. I'll hold on to it.
I'm really glad you did. Now I'm kind of sad that we're getting rid of it.
Well, I guess you should win predictions then you can win it.
I don't think I have much of a chance of that. I do. I got to look at one of my old computers and see if I have a design, though.
You have a better chance than I do, evidently. So.
Okay. No, you're going to get your points, Larson. Anyways, we'll talk about that off camera where it belongs. because I got some other thoughts about that. So anyways, yeah, the May Prediction Challenge. If you want in on the May Prediction Challenge, it's really easy. You get a channel membership here at YouTube, youtube.com/Stephen Larson. Click join to do that. Or you can go to patreon.com/Stephen Larson. Click on the Friendo Club setup there. And also you can get, access to the predictions challenges. Indeed. Also access to our bonus episodes and our question threads. All right, man, let's dive back into this.
Let's do it.
With number 7. Dean Ambrose on Seth Rollins. After Seth beat Roman Reigns at Money in the Bank in June of 2016. So once again, you have this timeline's crazy. So at WrestleMania 2015, which was in April, you had Seth Rollins cashing in on the eve of Roman Reigns potentially beating Brock Lesnar for the title because he ain't won the world title yet. And then, so that happened in mid or so 2015. And then about whatever that is, April and November, 8 months later or whatever, you got 2015. You got Roman Reigns finally winning that title. So not a lot of time later, he wins the title finally. And then he gets cashed in on. And I think he had that title for 5 minutes, 3 minutes, something like that?
5 minutes and something other seconds, yeah.
5:15, I think. Sheamus had the shirt. Okay.
Yeah.
So then he gets it there. So then he loses to Sheamus, gets it back the next day, has it for, I think, 3 months or so? No, he has it until...
The Rumble.
Until the Rumble, yeah. So two or 3 months.
Wins it back at Mania.
And then he has it for just a couple more months. Money in the Bank, June 2016. Dean Ambrose wins the Money in the Bank match. Seth Rollins beats Roman Reigns. I'm not mistaken, it's Roman Reigns' first clean loss in his singles loss in maybe his history.
Yeah, and it was Rollins' return match after coming back from the knee injury he suffered the previous November. Yeah.
Right. So Rollins beats Reigns cleanly, wins the title. Dean Ambrose cashes in on Seth Rollins.
I wonder if this is the start of Seth Rollins' tunnel vision when he hears somebody's theme song. Because the theme hits Dean Ambrose theme.
Yeah.
And he's just staring at the entrance ramp. And time and again, I if this is a consistent kind of Achilles heel for Seth, I like the consistency. So we're going on better part of a decade of this being the thing.
This hasn't happened in a while, though, and I wish they'd go back to it because you're right. For the longest time, it was like a minor sort of character quirk of Seth Rollins that he has no peripheral vision.
Or no concept of anybody attacking him from behind. Like if the theme plays, they must be coming down the ramp and no place else.
Nothing exists back here.
No.
If you think about it, that's pretty crazy.
That is.
I can see that my camera can see stuff back there, but how do I know it's real?
Could be an illusion.
Could be. So Seth Rollins is sitting there nothing can happen back there because the theme music's coming from there. The entrance is coming from there. And
that's the only place wrestlers come from at a wrestling show is the entrance.
Right, exactly.
Therefore, Dean Ambrose must be coming down that ramp.
But where does Dean Ambrose come? He comes from behind. Correct. He blasts Seth Rollins as he comes from behind with the briefcase.
Uh-huh.
And the attaché case is used to help him come from behind and blasts him. And then, a Dirty Deeds or whatever they call Paradigm Shift, whatever he does.
Dirty Deeds there, Paradigm Shift now.
Yeah. And hits him with that. And then he wins the title. Huge pop. Big pop for the Dean Ambrose.
Start of a really good 2016 for Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was champion for a good chunk of the year. Had a good feud with AJ Styles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, 2016 was probably Ambrose's best year in WWE.
Oh, 1,000%. Absolutely. Yeah. He didn't have that silly vaccine in the butt thing or the shot in the butt thing.
Oh, that was so bad.
The Bane era. Who could forget the Bane era?
I think a lot of people
when they announced on their website Jonathan Good is not going to re-sign with WWE.
Yeah. It's funny. I found this quote from Ambrose and talk about why he cashed in that night, and basically because he says he loses stuff and he don't want to lose the briefcase and lose his opportunity to cash in. It's like, let's just get this over with tonight.
See, that's good stuff.
It is.
It's funny because that is so much more Vince didn't really understand that's relatable, but him being quirky Dean Ambrose really wasn't. And I don't think Vince understood the difference between the two, because Dean would do things like, yeah, dude, I feel this guy. I really get this guy. Mm-hmm. And then he'll just do some silly shit. It's like, okay, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So,
like when he dressed up as a Mountie. Although that segment's actually pretty funny.
It is, yeah. Ambrose, he's a pretty funny guy. He's a pretty funny guy. Wonder whatever happened to that Dean Ambrose anyway.
Don't know.
Let's move on now to number 6. Io Sky at SummerSlam 2023 had to jet down that long ass walkway, cashed in on Bianca Belair after a brutal triple threat match with Asuka and Charlotte, targeting her knee with the briefcase. I remember it because I watched a little bit of the SummerSlam match here, where Bianca, I think Charlotte was going after the knee or whatever. Bianca was favoring it, but then they did that spot where she went over the top and banged her knee into the steel steps. Mm-hmm. They did a terrific job of making it look like, because she sold this shit out of it. And then they had the staff, the trainers come down, and it's like, oh God, this is fucked up. And so the match continues. Bianca is being led back to the trainer's room. She turns around, comes back in, and they had a really great finish where Charlotte has Bianca in the figure 8. Asuka comes in, sprays just everything, all the mist, onto Charlotte, goes and tries to attack Bianca, who rolls her up while Charlotte is still selling the spray, the mist, and locked up in the figure 8 or the figure 4 position. Yeah. And so she can't do anything. Bianca rolls up Asuka, wins the title. And so she barely has a moment to celebrate. Io Sky's music hits. She comes jetting down. Bayley's coming behind her. And Bayley grabs the briefcase, lays out Asuka and Charlotte, which is a great bit too. Io comes in. Bianca's attacking Bayley, but Io gives her a chop block with the briefcase to the bad knee, and then cashes in. She steps on Bianca as she goes up for the moonsault and hits it. Crowd goes fucking nuts for this.
Yeah.
Nuts for this.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was really awesome, and seeing how that cash in went down only for 8 months or so later. Bayley and Io competing against each other for that same title.
Yeah.
It's really well done. Really well done stuff.
It was really well done. And once Bayley won it at WrestleMania, they did absolutely nothing with her.
Yeah, that's still confusing to me. I don't get that.
But it is interesting because you see the reaction to Io Sky becoming, WWE champion. And it's not difficult to sort of understand what Triple H saw in that, because of now Io with her world title run, where she is getting some of the biggest reactions in the entire company, doing really phenomenal work, defending it successfully at WrestleMania this year after having lost the other title at WrestleMania last year. But just a really, really great cash in. And the small thing that I love about this one too, is you see Bianca celebrating her title win. Io's music, the beginning is so foreboding. It's so oh my God, some shit's happening right now. Yep. And it's such a great soundtrack for a cash in. It works really, really wonderfully.
Oh, it was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
All right, man. Let's move on now to number 5. Dolph Ziggler, April 8th, 2013, on the Raw after Mania. Cashed in, of course, on Alberto El Patron. Hey, side note. Did you see that Alberto, they're fast-tracking an Alberto Vikingo championship match for a May 30th AAA show?
Oh, they're getting that title on Vikingo, huh?
Wouldn't shock me. According to Lucha Blog, they have not really been setting up any of this stuff on television. Mm-hmm. And so, it seems like they might be fast-tracking Vikingo to get that title off him.
I'm not surprised.
Not surprised, yeah.
Del Rio had just had a match against Jack Swagger, and his ankle was all wrecked.
Rolling Stones.
And so he's there in the corner selling his ankle. Medical staff's attending to him. Dolph's music hits. Massive pop. Dolph, when he was at his most popular, he comes to the ring. And I found this interview he did with Chris Van Vliet, where he talked about the thought process and doing basically having all the twists and turns of a 12-minute match in about 3 minutes. Because he said initially it was pitched to him, hey, you're going to go down there, bang, 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 hit your finish, cover, pin. And Dolph's response was, I haven't won a lot. He won the Money in the Bank ladder match. He defended it against John Cena in a ladder match. Otherwise, I don't think he really won much between winning the briefcase and cashing in.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want people to think that Dolph is going to get Dolphed again.
Yeah.
So that's why we have several false finishes in this match, where Dolph will hit a move, hits him with a famouser, kicks. Del Rio kicks out. Del Rio gets the armbar on. Dolph has to get to the ropes.
Yeah.
In terms of the actual kind of like little mini match that happens after the cash in, this might be the best one.
Dude, in everything, that's why number one is where it is. But you're exactly right in that. Why not add more drama to it?
The only one that's close to this is when Punk cashed in on Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
It's similar in that there's a false finisher too. It's not just cash in, finisher, kick out.
Right.
Cover pin. Yeah.
And that is one, that anticipation, that drama, that tension, that, oh my God, is this going to go bad? Everybody wants to see a successful cash in, except when it comes to Sheamus. But everybody wants to see that shit. And when something goes bad, it's like, oh my God. It's honestly, it's like, I don't know if there's a situation that's it's bizarrely relatable, even though like none of us really have an idea what it is to cash in a contract like this. But it's like everybody knows what it's like to try and fail. You know what I mean? And so it's like, oh God, no, don't fail. That's horrible.
Yeah.
And Dolph at the time was like peak Dolph. Dude, this guy, it's so sad that his concussion, that his injuries played such a pivotal role in that fork in the road, man. His career could have skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Just skyrocketed, because especially with this group that he had when it was Big E and AJ, they had chemistry. And if he hadn't gotten injured and they kept that group together and they told a whole story with that group, leading to like Big E maybe going solo, having a feud with Dolph, if they were able to tell an effective story using that world title, I mean, dude, Dolph could have been that dude. He could have been like maybe even a WrestleMania main eventer. I honestly think that his ceiling was really high. If you look at that crowd reaction here, and I mean, you and I were both huge Dolph fans. Like, dude, this guy really knows how to wrestle. He can sell great. When he's got something to work with, he's really good on the mic. He's got good chemistry with these other people. The ceiling was so high for him, but these injuries just absolutely killed it.
It seemed to be a combination of injuries and Vince not trusting him to be a main event player. Because shortly after this, he had a defense against Alberto. It was scheduled for a triple threat match, I believe, defense. Got concussed. He was out for a while. And then they did the match with the double turn where he lost the belt, where he turned face, Alberto turned heel because Alberto was just kicking him in the head all the time. And yeah, he had, they told stories with Dolph and the breakup of their group. But apart from being the sole survivor of that one Survivor Series match,
which was a really good one, yeah.
Yeah. He never got close to this again in his career. Let's say he didn't do other good stuff. The feud he had with The Miz, where he put his career on the line to get the Intercontinental title shot, that was really good stuff.
Yeah.
Never again was he a consistent main event guy. He'd get title shots, but you knew he wasn't going to win.
You have to wonder, and I get the idea, because Vince is sort of, especially back then, the end-all, be-all. What matters to him is what matters. And who knows if he ever would have seen it, but sometimes I wonder if, because his momentum was stalled by this world title reign going the way it did, if it's difficult to pick that momentum back up. I mean, obviously, look, in the case of like Seth Rollins, who Vince and everybody thought was like, the best guy, and they still do, he was able to recover from a pretty gnarly injury, but after it was already an incredibly, like, the best, spoiler alert, Money in the Bank cash-in we've ever seen. You got to wonder if maybe if they had really nailed it for like a year after this, and he didn't get any injuries, and they really did a killer job, if that would have solidified him in Vince's mind.
Could have. It could have.
You got to wonder. Anyways, let's move on now to, number 4.
RVD
cashing in on John Cena, but he announced this weeks earlier on the May 22nd, 2006 edition of Raw that he was going to cash in a place that's extremely beneficial to him. One Night Stand 2006. So he gives this, he tells this to John Cena. He's like, I'm going to cash in for that title in an in-ring segment. The next week, I think it is, they do a contract signing. It's kind of like a mid-contract signing. It's not great until the end because it's like Paul Heyman talking a lot and RVD talking a bunch, and John Cena just sort of sits there and he tries to play. It's so sad because he tries to play the good guy still. Everybody loves RVD so much, and RVD is supposed to be the bad guy in this situation. Yeah. And so John Cena sort of takes it all, and he's like, "Oh, you know what, Paul? Passionate fans, ECW, I'm one of them. I love ECW. I respect ECW." And he's going on this good guy. Then it's like, get out of here with that. But he's like, listen, Jack. And it's back when he was calling people Jack. Listen, Jack, you got one shot at this soldier. But this soldier, he's calling himself a soldier. This soldier's going to bring all the artillery and all that kind of shit.
You know, he should have done is just recite the lyrics to his song, Bad, Bad Man.
That'd have been great. I'm a bad, bad man. But no, something even better happened. So Paul Heyman then says, John Cena, you're not going to have to wait 2 weeks until One Night Stand to get a piece of the Extreme. You can do that right now because he says in 2 days on SmackDown or next week or whatever it is, he says, I've arranged for a Team WWE versus Team ECW big clusterfuck match, right? And so he says, but that's not all. Tonight, I've invited several people from Team ECW. Bro, the funniest thing about this is that you kind of understand, you kind of get why Vince didn't roll harder with ECW.
Yeah.
Because like Balls Mahoney shows up looking like a fan. Sandman starts waddling out. Tommy Dreamer shows up. But then there's this, and I kept on trying to rewind this and play in slow motion. But like Tommy Dreamer like leaps from like one of the levels to like another level, and like the crowd goes, oh, he ends up being okay. Like he ends up coming out, but it was like, oh my God, he just took a really big leap over there. Terry Funk comes waddling out on his bad knees. So they all surround John Cena, including Tommy Dreamer. He makes it down, and it's like, they just kind of don't look ready for prime time.
Yeah.
And John Cena immediately is like, all right, Jack, let's do this. And so he like punches them all. They all go down except for Sandman. He gets, because he's a bad, bad man. Well, the Sandman has the kendo stick. This dude starts wailing on John Cena's head. John Cena goes down and he starts wailing on his hand. And you see Cena tuck his hand in because it's like, God damn, bro, that kind of hurts.
Yeah, that heck hurt.
And so, and then something I have not seen before in my fucking life, dude. The Big Show leads the WWE locker room out to help John Cena finally after like a 2-minute beatdown.
Yeah.
Big Show is sprinting down the ramp. This fool is full sprint down the ramp like it's 1996. So he comes down and a bunch of jabronis from the WWE locker room help out John Cena. Like Snitsky's trying to help him and shit, and John Cena's like pushing him away and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It's just it's so comical because like ECW worked so well on like the flimsiest SD video in the most dimly lit ECW arena where like the scan lines are bizarrely thick.
Yeah.
You know, and like, but they're like in, 2006, just really bright lit, nice production.
It's like the people say, hey, why don't they have custom sets anymore?
Yeah, because
if you show them in HD, you'll see it's just plywood that's just been painted and it won't look good.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, and it's apropos these days because Sabu is the punctuation mark. And Sabu is actually the dude who looks like legit, right? Sabu comes out, he's got those great pants, and he looks like $1 million, and he gets the chair, but the table is so, they get a table, it's a contract signing table. They put Cena on it. It's so far away from the corner. Sabu just absolutely annihilates his hips because he has a chair with him. Yeah. And so he does the thing where he jumps with the chair trying to get to the table, and it's like he's barely able to get one leg on the chair on Cena. And he just sort of collapses off of it. Yeah, it was rough. It was rough, but I was watching this just laughing my ass off, like ECW guys, with just thrown hips, come struggling down, all with like cheesy ECW shirts on too, which they're actually well branded.
It was
but
like
still.
the Invasion revisited almost, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
The match is awesome though. If you haven't seen this match, go watch it.
The match is fucking great, and the crowd is phenomenal for this. It really is. Now this is awesome stuff. This if Cena wins, we riot situation. The awesome, that was the thing that I remember we were talking about ECW recently. When Sabu passed, we talked about gathering around you, me, and Jeff around the old little tiny TV. And watching ECW, which is the most like on that little screen right there. That's how you're supposed to watch ECW. The one behind me right here.
Not the giant one, the small one.
No, not the big one. That little tiny one right there behind my head. But yeah, that energy right there is what ECW was, and One Night Stand really did capture that energy.
Absolutely.
It's a great match, and I remember watching ECW back then and being like mesmerized by the like ECW rules. Because like there kind of wasn't any. It's just and the crowd would explode because you'd have all this interference, 3 refs, and then finally like one ref would come in and boom, 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 and the crowd would just go
imaginable. Yeah.
Absolutely crazy for these wildly overbooked finishes.
Yep.
And that's the kind of thing we got at One Night Stand, where Paul Heyman ends up counting the 3, and RVD wins. And this is, mind you, back in 2001 when the Invasion stuff started. RVD was the guy.
Yeah.
The crowd wanted this guy.
Yep.
And so it took until 2006 for them to be like, okay, we're going to put the world title on him. And I think even that was largely because they were launching the new ECW like proper.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to put the title on him. He did it in, I think it was June 13th, June 22nd, something like that. By mid-July, he had been pulled over, busted for drugs. And they took the ECW title off him, took the WWE title off him. So, yeah, just that's another one of those like what ifs to a degree. I mean, I'm sure it's not like RVD would have had a massive run with the WWE title, but the fact that it was cut short so immediately was a real bummer. It was a real bummer,
and seemingly never had a chance to kind of get back to that position either.
Yeah, right. And the Big Show took the ECW title off him. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Give it to Balls Mahoney.
Yeah.
Give it to Tommy Dreamer, Larson.
Yeah, for taking that leap off the
Bubba Ray. Yeah, dude, you watch. It's like maybe a quarter of a second. You just see his body fall. And it's like, what was that? And you see the crowd go, oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
Ow. Anyways, let's move on now to number 3.
3.
All rise for Damian Priest. This just happened a year ago, and change ago.
There's something to be said about doing the cash in on the largest stage possible. In this case, number 1, WrestleMania. You have it in the midst of the best story they happened to tell during the course of that year, which was Punk, Drew McIntyre.
Yep.
And, Priest didn't carry that belt very long from Mania to SummerSlam when he gets beat by Gunther. But that moment was pretty cool. He had an interview with Chris Van Vliet where he talked about it was his idea to do the custom Money in the Bank briefcase.
All right,
and he answered the question, do wrestlers put things in the briefcases when they're traveling? And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
He said he put like toiletries, maybe put his sunglasses, but he was told don't put like dirty clothes in it because it ruins the briefcase because other people have done it.
Oh, that's disgusting.
It is. So we always wondered, do the wrestlers actually use the briefcase?
Well, now I'm wondering the more important question. Who's put like skidded underwear in the Money in the Bank briefcase? And why does that sound like a Jack Swagger thing to do?
Yeah, could be. Yeah.
I can see Swagger doing it.
Uh-huh.
I don't see Edge doing it.
No.
I'm running down the various people. Sheamus, maybe. He's kind of old school.
Yeah, maybe.
Sheamus might put some dirty chunks.
What about Otis?
I think by that time, so you got to look at like, I think by 2020, I think Otis was just happy. Otis probably just surprised and happy to have the thing.
Do you think he really put his lunch in there? Because that was the gimmick,
I'd be kind of like, if you're asking as a shoot, I'd be kind of surprised if he actually put his lunch in there. Be kind of surprised if that was the case. I feel like they probably do lunch like before their call time. Yeah. Or if they do lunch, they do it
snack,
in catering.
But he brings snack.
Maybe maybe some protein bars.
Maybe.
I could see protein bars definitely. Yeah. But like dirty chonies, I don't know.
Maybe Tucker.
Ew.
Put some dirty undies in
somebody else's dirty chonies in your Money in the Bank. That's horrific.
Or Tuckies.
That's disgusting. Tucky. Anyways, let's move on now to number 2. On this day, the first Edge cash in. Yeah, so I don't care about the second one, but the first one was like the first one.
Yeah, Edge's first. Template, yeah.
And so he had an interview with the Sam Roberts where he talked about it and how he didn't even want to be
the ladder match guy.
He was like, look, man, I'm trying to get away from ladder match. I want to be a catch wrestler.
Exactly.
I want to be known for 40-minute lockups,
put me in a
headlocks, submission. I want to be that guy. I don't want to be fancy. Look at he's doing stuff on the ladder stuff anymore. And then who's it? Like Mick Foley convinced him to do it or something like that? Somebody said, yeah.
No, it was so I think we talked about Mick Foley was in relation to what he did afterwards at WrestleMania. Because that's what the Mania after this. So the idea was he was going to win. He didn't want to do it. They convinced him to do it. He won, but the idea was just do the cash in, the short title change. Cena won it back at the Rumble, and then Edge went on to wrestle Foley at year's WrestleMania.
Okay. All right, gotcha. I sort of skipped ahead, and he was talking about Foley. I was like,
yeah.
Okay, here. Okay,
but apparently, according to him, he was the one that had the idea of kind of doing the opportunistic cash in. He's like,
yes.
I'm supposed to be this awful character, and if I just declare in advance, I want a title match at this day and time, well, that's not that messed up.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Taking advantage of someone who's already been beat up after a chamber match in this instance, that's real heel shit there.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So, but this one was interesting because it's the only one where Vince came out to introduce the cash-in.
Do you think that it was ever considered after this for Vince to do it every time, to announce, he comes out, hey everybody, this year's Mr. Money in the Bank. Who was 2006? Who won it in 2000? Oh, RVD. Hey everybody. Well, no, he did the announced one. So 2007. I don't know.
Is that Kennedy?
Was that? Oh, that didn't work because Edge got it back again, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or that 09. I don't know. Anyways, yeah. Do you think Vince was like? When Vince went out there, do you think he was like, this is what I'm going to do every time?
I don't know, because so much of it seemed like, you hear Chris Jericho. I found this video of Chris Jericho talking about the genesis of Money in the Bank, creating the idea for the match with Brian Gewirtz, pitching it to Vince, and he said Vince had one idea. It's got to be in the briefcase. And it seemed to be a situation where this was far enough in advance of Mania where they could, what?
Were there other options?
As far as the receptacle?
Yeah.
No, Jericho just says Vince insisted it was a briefcase.
Okay.
That was the only note he had. But
because like in AEW, obviously they just have like the contract
or a giant poker chip.
They do have that as well. The Christian thing was like a steel folio for the contract.
Yeah. So the idea was, you have a few people who don't have Mania plans. And he said initially the first pitch was like a submission match with him, somebody else, and Edge. He's like, Edge didn't even have a submission move. Mm-hmm. So they started brainstorming ideas. It was a ladder match with a title shot for the next Raw. And then Brian Gewirtz was like, why not just have it for the whole year? Mm-hmm. He pitched the idea to Vince. So it seemed like something that came into play, fell into place really quickly.
Yeah, right.
And I wonder if there's a situation where they're like, all right, let's cash it in. What are we going to do? I don't know. Let's just do something. And they just did it. Like a lot of stuff in WWE, it seems like, what are we going to do here? I don't know. Let's do this. Fine. And it just happens with no real forethought about if that's going to be how things are going to be done in the future.
Yeah. No. So this, it's great that Edge, because like, think about how, if he hadn't have thought, oh, hey, this could be cool, how long do you think Money in the Bank even would have been around?
I know.
Because that first time the cash in, it was so huge and it was so like revolutionary. I mean, look how long it's lasted. It's like what? I mean, he'd won it in 2005. Yeah. So like that's been around for 20 years now.
Yeah, it's 20th anniversary.
And if that first one was simply like, I've decided to cash in my title shot at whatever the February paper
at Royal Rumble or something
at
like
Royal
that.
Rumble.
Yeah.
It's like, we're gonna do this again. Who cares?
Yeah, as opposed to I'm gonna cash in it right now. John Cena, you're all bloody from Elimination Chamber match.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's another guy, by the way. John Cena. So, like, he got wait a second. So, Cena, didn't he have, there was like another, RVD cashed in on him in May. So, like, John Cena, yeah. So, at January 2006, he got cashed in on, and then RVD cashed in on him 5 months later. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't an announced one. So, a little bit different situation there.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's talk about, of course, look, man. Everybody knows what this is. There's no debate, no argument. Number one. Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 31. Larson, where were we when this happened?
We were in Levi's Stadium.
You're
witnessing
right.
it live there in person here. The reason it's number one is not simply because we were there witnessing history take place, though that might play a part of it.
If we were there for like the Jack Swagger cash-in, would that have been number one?
Absolutely not.
There you go.
That's still when you made top 10.
No, it would have been one of the worst.
Yeah. You get the stage of WrestleMania. You get Seth at this point doing some really good character work. Really kind of hitting a stride in terms of doing really interesting character work. You had a situation where we had a main event the crowd wasn't terribly invested in and didn't really care to see either competitor win it.
No, largely the build was terrible. They had the tug-of-war thing in advance of this.
Yeah. It's Roman Brock. And the match was pretty solid. And you have the just the historical aspect of it. Like all that combined. Plus the celebration where he's swinging the title over his head, the pyro's going off. Wait, sorry?
This is probably the best example of the tension that we talked about with the Dolph one.
Yeah.
Because he's running in there with two absolute beasts.
Yep.
One, I mean, Brock is a scary dude.
Yeah.
And so I remember the tension was so palpable. Like, this is something we all really desperately need to happen. Is he going to be able to do this?
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets caught by Brock, and then Brock gets speared by Roman, and then whatever the stomp happens, I guess. And then he wins, and it's like, oh my God, this guy went in there, and they call it the heist for a good reason because it has that feel to it.
Yep.
He had to go in there against two guys who, yes, they had just beat each other up for a while, but he goes in there against two guys who still have to finish a match, who are still known for finishing matches. Two guys who are known for kicking out of everything.
Yep.
He's getting in the middle of that.
Yep.
And he ain't as big as them.
Nope.
And he goes in there and he gets it done, and it's like, oh my God, this was the best thing I've ever seen. So that tension in the match is probably the most of that example that we see in any of these other ones. It's like, oh my God, you're going in there against a Roman and Brock. They're very scary, and it's not like they're necessarily laid out. It's not like these, I mean, they were kind of laid out at that point.
Yeah, they were. But
like they'd gone through a pretty rough match.
It's not like
but
they both
it's
went
still
through a table or something like that.
Yeah, it's like it's Roman and Brock. That's scary fucking business right there.
Yep.
Just the absolute gold standard of cash-ins.
Without a doubt.
Be shocked if anybody ever beats it.
Yeah, I know. It's going to take a lot.
There are a lot. I mean, they were really fun these days. What was the EO was 23. Who's the women? What was the cash-in for the women in last year?
That was...
Who's got it now?
Tiffany Stratton.
Tiffany. Oh, that's right. Tiffany. That's right.
She cashed in on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
Or the first SmackDown of 2025.
That was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah,
We could have put
solid.
That was a good one. Liv Morgan also had a good one. It's just her title run. And I know like some of these didn't have great title runs either. But Liv Morgan could have been on here pretty easily. That was a big moment for her.
Was pretty decent, yeah.
They cashed in on Ronda Rousey was good.
Orton cashing in on Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam was really well done.
I thought like in terms of Miz cashing in on Orton, not a terrible way to try to establish him as a big bad guy.
I guess.
But I don't know. I don't know if it was that. What year was that? It was 2010?
It was 20,
or
late
09.
2010, early 2011, yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. You're right. Yeah. Early 2011. Yeah. Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. A lot of people defend that one, though. A lot of people like the Miz one.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, okay.
No.
Trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, but no. No good. No good.
Mm-hmm.
Big E's should have been better.
Yes.
That should have been better.
It was announced on Twitter.
God. Yeah. That's bad. That's bad.
Yeah. Was not good. No.
Anyways. And then the Miz's second one. After he got it from Otis.
Yeah. That whole story was lame, so.
It was really lame. Although I did appreciate Lashley hunting Miz afterwards.
Yeah.
because he did the beatdown on Drew to let Miz do the thing. And then Bobby the next week, I think he was like, we're doing this. Was it that week or was it the next week?
Oh, it was within a couple weeks, yeah.
Yeah. I forget if it was the same episode or if it was the next week. I think it was the next week. Bobby was like, I'm not waiting. I'm getting you to do this. And he just took it from him. It was great.
Yeah, it was great.
But that wasn't a cash-in.
No, it wasn't.
Anyways, that's going to do it. Let us know if we missed anything that you guys like. Put it in the comments below. Evidently, don't put the Miz in here. Either of the Miz's. Because Larson will give you a big, what he's doing right there, the disappointed dad look right there. Like, hey, I just took off with the family car. Went for a joyride. That's going to be your reaction as Dad Larson.
It's like I'm smelling a fart, kind of.
It's like you're smelling Otis's underwears in the Money in the Bank.
Oh, it's been fermenting in the Money in the Bank briefcase for months.
Orton. What about Orton? Orton might have put underwear in there.
In his younger days, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, or hidden somebody's car keys in there.
With dirty underwear.
Took a crap in somebody else's Money in the Bank briefcase. Yeah. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate it. Until next time, we'll see you guys around.
Goodbye.